if that's cool, because there are some links in there that you can take advantage of. We'll see here in a minute. Is it okay to go ahead?
Yes. We want to welcome Randy Watson from IT Navigator, and he's got to talk to us today about security in the online world.
So I've got, just so you know, I've got a dual screen set up at my place, and I've got my speaker notes open here, and I can't really see any of you. So just Jeanette, go ahead and give me an audio kind of thumbs up if I need to address anything.
Sure, I'll watch the chat group. And do you want some introductions before you start, Randy, so you know who's in the room, or?
Sure, actually, yeah.
Okay. So Derek, can we start with you?
Why don't we?
Hey, Randy. Haven't seen you since yesterday. How's it going?
Good, good. How are you?
Good. Acme Signs and Graphics here in Brockville. Yeah, I'm just here to.
What's your online status, Derek?
Sorry?
What is your online status?
My online status?
Yeah, so you're on Facebook?
I'm on Facebook. My business is not on Instagram yet, and I do not have a website yet. So
Okay.
all on the to-do list, but yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Facebook, and yeah.
Thanks. Carol? You're good.
Sure. I'm not muted.
No, you're not.
Nope.
No. Okay. Thanks. Okay. So yeah, I'm Carol Palco of Palco Jewelry Design. We online presence. We have a website. It's with Shopify. I am on Facebook with a personal and with a business. I am on LinkedIn. Mainly, I have both personal and business, but mainly through personal. I'm on Pinterest, but I haven't been active for a long time on that. I do have an Instagram, but I haven't really used it, like for business and personal. And what's anything else? Twitter. I have an account, but I don't use it.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Okay, thanks. Caitlin?
Yeah, Caitlin Heffernan, Brockville Wellness Registered Massage Therapy. So we use Facebook, a website, and an online scheduler for our clinic. We don't use Twitter or the rest of it just because I don't want to have to look after it. So, and Instagram isn't necessarily a great one for us because we can't take a lot of pictures with clients or anything like that.
Right.
So we just stick to the main portions there.
Okay.
Thanks, Caitlin. Jennifer?
Jennifer Tanner from Blissful Home Cleaning. I'm owner-operator, and we are on a Shopify store. I've got Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest, although Pinterest and Instagram are neglected a bit. Yeah, so I've got a cleaning company, and we're in Kempville primarily.
Okay.
Thank you. Melissa, good morning.
Good morning. So I'm doing a lot of stuff online right now. So I'm a personal trainer. I had always been doing a little bit of online training. It's a huge focus now, of course. I use an app for all my programming. I've got a website and a Facebook. Juno wants to talk to. And a Facebook page. I have Instagram, but it's a real challenge for me because I'm not an Instagram model, and it seems all the other personal trainers in the universe are. So it's not a focus at all, and I don't have Twitter, so it's primarily Facebook. Big focus though is building my website, so that way I actually own the stuff that I put on the internet.
Oh,
Thank you.
I need your services. I've gained weight since pandemic started. I don't want to hear from Wendy. I don't want to hear from Wendy.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jillian Price, and my business is called Vogue and Rogue Weddings. We provide intimate wedding ceremonies in unlikely places, and this year's theme is around the rich history of the St. Lawrence and Thousand Islands. And so we perform these ceremonies at historical sites. So the Brockville Tunnel is coming up in September. We are working on a forest chapel with Lamb's Pond. And we also have slots available for the Blue Church as well as the Fulford Estates. So, and the reason that you don't see me today is because I'm a new grandma. I haven't combed my hair or brushed my teeth in 4 days. So you're not going to see me today. Anyway, I'm very excited to be here. I have Facebook, Instagram, and I agree with Caitlin. It does take time out of your day to keep on top of things. So I'm learning about the rhythm of how to do that. We are in the process of being approved for an Airbnb experience for weddings. If we are accepted into the program, we would be the only first wedding experience for all of Airbnb, which includes Asia, UK, like the entire world. We'd be the very first. So right now what they're doing is they're looking at a category for us because they don't have one. So that's really cool. So yeah, I would be exposed to the rest of the world, and the IT piece is something certainly that I'm interested in today. Other than that, I haven't been doing much.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Jillian and the vicar.
And the vicar. Thanks, Wendy.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I mean, I can't remember the last time I combed my hair either, so it's all right. So okay, that great stuff. And I'm assuming everybody here was with Starter Company, including myself. That's correct. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's good. So I'm going to share my screen. Can everybody? Okay. So everybody's seeing the wrong screen. There we go. How's that? What, you're seeing my logo? Okay. Okay, well, welcome everybody to my presentation today about cybersecurity for small businesses and working under the new normal. Things to consider when designing your cybersecurity plan. Yes, you need to have a cybersecurity plan if you're going to operate in the world today. So my name is Randy Watson. I'm the owner and principal consultant of IT Navigator. I have 17 years in municipal government, IT manager, former IT manager with the city of Brockville. My company is based in Brockville, and I have experience moving organizations forward through the use of technology. And the focus of my business is municipal organizations, small businesses, and not-for-profits. So everybody here is right in my kind of demographic. And again, I'd like to welcome everybody. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today about cybersecurity. Now, we're not going to take a super deep dive into all the nooks and crannies of cybersecurity because that would be huge. And I only have half an hour, so we're going to do our best to get through what I think some of the key concepts are that you need to think about being a small business owner. So slide number 2, the purpose of this is just to add a little bit of levity to the whole thing. And I'll just let you read the caption there. It's just to reinforce the point that you do need to do something as far as security is concerned, and doing nothing, really nothing as illustrated, just putting a sign up on your computer really isn't an option anymore, even as a small business owner. So the main ideas today are, I want you to think about what you're currently doing, what you could be doing, and about making a formal plan, something, yes, that's a document on paper about surrounding cybersecurity within your business. So what are you doing to protect your business from malicious attacks? No business is too small. Please don't think that you're too small to make a plan. Do you have a formal plan now, or is it just in your head? And I want you to come away with the ideas to make your cybersecurity plan a reality. And I'm going to reinforce this and make this connection throughout the whole presentation about protecting your digital house. And the analogy is there Everybody lives somewhere with the exception of Wendy. She obviously lives in a trailer. Sorry, Wendy, I'm going to pick on you today, probably. And what are the aspects inside that house that are of concern to you, your keepsakes, whatnot? It's the same thing that goes for your data that you're keeping in that digital house. So some of the things that we've heard about in the news recently over the last couple of years are the Manitoba law firm, for example, locked out of their own systems due to ransomware. I mean, you can think about how huge that would be if they can't get access to their documents. They don't know when they're supposed to be to court on time. Delays costing probably tens of thousands of dollars. Another one was a Toronto dental clinic, again, ransomware. Demanding $165,000 ransom to get their data back. University of Calgary. We've heard of other financial institutions, educational institutions, and unfortunately, hospitals are also a target as well. So when I think about cybersecurity, I have 2 small businesses in my house because my wife has her own small business as well. So I'm constantly thinking, how am I protecting us from the outside world and the information that we have contained within? So I'm too small to be a target. And as this slide says, on the contrary, small and medium-sized businesses are attracted to cyber criminals. And I've highlighted some of the key points here because, I mean, this slide's kind of busy. But due to the lack of resources, I mean, we're so busy doing all the other things, and we talked about this in the introduction, trying to keep up with social media, for example, trying to keep clients happy, that we're typically not experts in the realm of cybersecurity. So we don't have that knowledge level. We don't have somebody on staff that has that knowledge level because we're typically 1 or maybe 2 people person kind of shops. So that leaves a gap in our cybersecurity picture in terms of having a lack of resources. And we're attractive to cyber criminals, and they consider the SMB market a sweet spot. And because the Canadian economy is made up predominantly of small businesses, the cyber attacks at the SMB level present a threat to the larger economy because they use us as an attack vector to go into larger businesses because we're kind of the low-hanging fruit, again, because we don't have those resources, we don't lock our doors, they come in through us first and then work their way up the food chain, for example. So another interesting statistic is 74% of micro-sized businesses are currently making no investment in cyber training. So you constantly have to be educating yourself, even if you're a 1-person show, for sure, and knowing about what the threats are, what's out there, and how you can counteract them. So the new normal is a term that we've heard throughout the entire pandemic. And in terms of cybersecurity, what does that mean, the new normal? Well, the pandemic became an issue very rapidly. And I mean, it had an effect on lots of businesses overnight. One business that I've dealt with is in the entertainment industry. They do provide services. Like last year, they did a portion of the Super Bowl. They tour for rock concerts and whatnot. When all those venues got shut down, they laid off 40 people almost immediately because that avenue was no longer available to them. So small businesses like ourselves had to react and say, how can we leverage technology to stay in contact with our customers, maintain those service levels, try to maintain the service levels, and try and stay profitable, which has been an uphill battle, and I'm sure for a lot of people in this room, including myself. So we rapidly adopted technology that's popular and easy to use. And Zoom, I'm going to use Zoom as an example. And when I use Zoom for lots of examples today, I'm not beating them up. I still use the Zoom product. I still believe in it. And I think they're constantly trying to make the product better. So they faced some negative press, and they had to adapt rapidly also because of the uptake in that technology. And they didn't realize some of the holes that were in their own systems. So we're all familiar, I'm sure, with Zoom bombing, and I think really the product and the people using it were both at fault, in my opinion. And again, it came from my side, or the small business side, the people using it. it was a lack of education on our part before we went in and configured some of the settings that we did in Zoom. So one of the key takeaways from this slide is your business as ready as it could be for the new climate? Because this kind of interaction is not going to go away. Again, I hate to reuse the phrase over and over again, the new normal, but we're probably going to be leveraging this technology a lot more in the future. So transitioning to remote work, what does that mean? Well, it's obviously, and I apologize, I'm still working on the coloring of my slide deck. I've got to fix that. Using a mix of different systems, video conference, cloud storage, potentially working from different locations, home, Starbucks, library, for example, or remotely accessing your data from the cloud, Dropbox, using free or fee-based systems that you aren't used to. So again, Zoom, if you're using the free version of that or any of the free version of the video conferencing software out there that are popular, and trusting resources that you may not be familiar with. And I mean, we're all guilty of putting blind faith in online companies and their products. We really need to stop doing that and stop and take time to think about what we're doing before we do it and what products we use before we use it. So take the time to get to know the products and services you're using. So you have to decide, for example, am I comfortable using public Wi-Fi to do my business banking and my personal banking? Take the time to do that analysis on things that you've already done multiple times over and over again, and really make better informed decisions. So I'm just really encouraging you to think about the connections you make. And I don't just mean to Wi-Fi, but through video conferencing to the cloud and everything, all those services that are combined. So here's the digital house analogy. We're going to start to get into that now. We don't take chances at home, so why do we treat our business differently? We don't let strangers in, we lock our doors, we buy insurance, we invest in secondary countermeasures like security systems and cameras, and we do everything in our power to protect the things in our lives that are not replaceable. So why don't we protect our data and our digital assets in the same way? So again, using the house analogy, mom's china, for example, that's been handed down and photographs that can't be replaced, you probably store those in secure locations in your house, not where you've had multiple floods or whatnot, or your sump pumps overflowed over the years. And in terms of access, I'm going to use Jeanette as an example, because in previous meetings I've seen Jeanette working from home. So I don't have access to Jeanette's house because I don't need it. And if I don't need it, why would I have it? And it should be based on some kind of past relationship of trust and discussions or agreements around that. So if, the concept here is, if you're giving somebody access to your digital house, think about why you're doing that. Have discussions with the people, know why it's prudent. The same goes for your data network. Keep individuals out that don't need to be in there. I mean, besides, if I had access to Jeanette's house, I'd probably go in and I'd probably take that really awesome Rush picture that she has in her study off the wall and take that home with me, because I'm a huge Rush fan. So it's probably good that I don't have access, right, Jeanette? Your digital assets and reputation are priceless. So these kinds of things are unique to your business. You can't go to the store and buy new ones. They don't sell it on Amazon. Walmart doesn't have a can of your data on the shelf. So when it's gone, it's gone. So what are you doing to protect the data in your digital house? Recovery is possible, but it's costly and could take time to complete. While that recovery is happening, will you be able to continue business? So think about this tomorrow. If you don't have your customer list, you don't have your email list, you don't have the documents you've created, could you continue on, or are you going to be dead in the water? The more doors you open, you provide what's called attack vectors. And attack vectors are paths into your system that provide unauthorized access. So every time we use an app, a software to connect to a website, we potentially provide another attack vector by opening the door into our digital house. So take time to think about the reputation of the company behind the product and educate yourself on how it works. So again, back to the Zoom example, I know I just fully jumped into Zoom. It was easy to use. I liked it. It was awesome. I looked at the other products and I was like, no, I didn't want to take time to use the other ones because Zoom did what I needed, and it was great. And then a few weeks later, sorry, all heck broke loose, for lack of a better phrase, and we found out about Zoom bombing and all the other bad things that had gone on. So let's talk about some of the common attack vectors that can happen in today's world. So compromised credentials. If you've logged on to a website to buy a product somewhere and their website isn't secure, somebody could potentially go in and get your credentials off that website and then exploit, because if you use a lot of the same passwords for other sites, they could exploit that, right? Weak credentials, using your dog's name, your date of birth. So if I know a little bit of information about you, I might kind of have a little bit of an attack vector into your world, knowing that you don't use secure passwords and you rely on weak credentials. Malicious insiders. If you have employees that are unhappy, disgruntled, whatnot, and they want to open some of those doors for you, people are some of the biggest entry points into businesses. So again, if you have employees, you have to let them know what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, and back things up with policies and procedures, and we're going to talk about that. So email. My big thing about email is, if in doubt, throw it out. If you get an email from somebody that you don't recognize or you're not expecting, take the time to pick up the phone and call them and figure out whether they've actually sent you the email before. I've actually done that myself, and I've helped a few people over the years saying, no, you know what, we didn't send that out. Our system's infected. Please disregard everything. And that can save a ton of time and headache. So sometimes we need to go back to old technology, and again, just to talk to people on the phone and find out if it's legitimate. And connections in business are critical, obviously, and sometimes you have to invite people in. You just have to be more cautious when you do it nowadays. So we're going to talk about two kind of structured plans that you can put in place for your business. One of them is data loss prevention, or DLP. So it's the usage of tools and technologies to detect and prevent data breaches. So who here has intellectual property? By show of hands. Probably everybody. I mean, it's basically something that you've created from scratch, that's your property, that is covered by law. So intellectual property is protected, and we don't want unauthorized access by malicious users. So what if you have IP, intellectual property, on site through the course of your business? You're dealing with clients, you have some kind of top secret information from them, let's call it. How are you protecting that? Are your systems secure, and are they capable of fending off an attack? So the answer is probably no, because I mean, the big companies out there in the world that are spending millions of dollars still get attacked, and they have data breach issues. So the small people like us sitting at home, our systems are never going to be 100% secure. And I don't say that to scare you. It's reality. So having a data loss prevention plan is key in asking yourself, what are you going to do to safeguard the information that's critical to you and your clients as much as you possibly can? So it's kind of a duty.
Randy?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. There's a question here from Melissa. Melissa, can you ask your question, please?
Sure.
So when you say documents you can create, so like any programming or like a website, is that what you mean by intellectual properties?
So if we look at the legal description of intellectual property, it's anything creative that's been made, and there's some other stuff in there. So if you've created your logo, or yes, if you've put your website together, or you've created custom forms, let's say, for your clients when they sign up, anything that you've created, any of your documentation is all kind of your intellectual property.
Okay.
Let's say you designed your logo for your business from scratch. Totally
Okay, thank you.
Does that answer the question?
Does, yeah.
Okay. So the second part of the documents I'd like you to consider as having a formal plan is your incident response plan. So do you have one in place? Typically, small businesses don't really think about it. It's more of a larger business thing. But again, we really need to encourage small businesses to start thinking this way. So do you have something in your head, or is it down on paper? So if you had a data breach, who would you call? Would you know who to call? Do you have a relationship with an IT company, or do you have a guy or a kid or a person that does your stuff for you? Who would you call to get you down or get help with that? Excuse me for a second. I'm just going to take a sip of water. Have you had negotiations with a qualified vendor before things happen to figure all this kind of stuff out? So small business cyber response plans can be simple. When we're going through these kind of things, they seem, please don't think that they need to be 50 pages, 100 pages. All I'm saying is you need to have your plan down on paper and have a structured, detailed list of what would happen if, what's contained in my network, who would I call, all that kind of thing. So you're not scrambling if an issue does come up with your business. So let's talk briefly about cyber insurance. And cyber insurance is probably not applicable to small businesses, but it's a really good conversation to have with your insurance carrier. And if just for educational purposes, if nothing else, it might be cost prohibitive for a small business owner. And again, it's typically something that's found in larger organizations. However, when you do approach them, one of the first things they're going to ask you is, what are the resources that you have in place to counteract any cyber security issues that you might have in your business? And if you don't have anything, that's going to be part of their assessment that they use to assess your risk potential. How risky is this if we insure you? Whereas opposed to if you say, yep, I have a data loss prevention plan, I have an incident response plan, here's a list of what I have, my digital assets, what I use to conduct business. I've spent money and I've had a service provider come in and secure things as much as possible. I use antivirus. That's all going to go a long way. So again, I'm not recommending cyber insurance, but again, it's not a bad thing to talk about. Just, I mean, it could be a good learning experience for you for sure. So how do I protect my business, and what can I do to minimize cyber threats? And we're going to go through these fairly quickly. So DLP and incident response plans. Keep software patches up to date. Does everybody know what firmware is? No? Okay. So think about the home router that you have. That's probably your Wi-Fi access point. There's a little chip in there and it runs software, and that's what runs the core software on that device to allow it to function. So companies release firmware versions to correct security deficiencies or put enhancements on that system. So you shouldn't really just put things in place and leave it. You need to be having somebody look at that for you and make sure that those critical firmware upgrades are going on there, because it could be potentially patching security vulnerabilities in your systems. So passwords, physical security. One thing I want to say about physical security, if you can't afford to lose it, don't leave it unattended. Going back to the digital house analogy, if you think of your devices like your baby or pets, you don't leave them in a car unattended and go in and shop. So for example, if you're coming from a client site and you've got your laptop with you, Jennifer, that's got probably got a lot of client information on there, you don't leave that in the car. As far as I mean, you can if you want. It's completely up to you. That should go with you into Walmart or Canadian Tire, wherever you're going. That should, if you can't afford to lose the data that's on that computer or access to the systems that you have from that computer, and chances of your car getting broken into in broad daylight in a parking lot in Brockville, well, probably slim to none, but maybe you're going to be in Toronto someday, right? Take that with you. It's a good rule of thumb. If you can't lose it, don't leave it.
My thing is that I'm on Google and Google Suite, so it's on my phone. Like it's all there.
Right. So you typically take your phone with you, right?
Yeah.
And you've got, we're going to talk about, locking mobile devices as well. So again, I apologize for the coloring here. So backup and encrypt data, we're going to talk about backups more in a little minute. So securing mobility, like we were just talking about with you, Jennifer, you have your phone auto lock. Everybody should have their phone auto lock. Perfect. Okay.
What do you mean by auto lock, Randy?
So so the way I have my phone, I don't have my phone with me right now. So I have an iPhone. I can set my phone to, if I unlock my phone and I go in and I'm doing whatever on my phone and I set it down on my desk, after 30 seconds, my phone auto locks and either asks me to put my password in or hold it up to my face and
Right. Got it. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Establish perimeter defenses, so firewalls, hardware or software, VPN. Secure outsourced IT sources. So again, have somebody that can come and help you deal with your system issues if you're having them, or there's a critical incident that happens. And you know what? Make sure that those access to those systems by those people are under your terms. Outsource IT companies should not have full-time access to your systems. It should be on your terms and when you need them. So there are exceptions to that rule, but as a small business, you probably don't need to worry about the exceptions. So secure your websites. And I know a couple of people, I know Jennifer is a huge Shopify fan. And I know I think Melissa said you use Shopify as well. No, somebody else.
Carol, I think, said she was using Shopify.
Anyway, as a small business owner, you've already got so many things on the go, and it's probably not prudent for you to learn everything there is to need to know about hosting a website and running it. So I really am a fan, and I use GoDaddy myself. Let somebody else manage that for you. Make sure that all the security patches in their back end are up to snuff, and so when people come to your website and they enter data, that's all taken care of. That's what I would recommend. But if you really want to host your own website, you can do that.
I'm using HubSpot, so that's where the customer data is.
Okay, so you're using a hosted service that's looked after by a team of people, and they've got things in the background and they're spending a lot more money than we would be as small business owners. So that's exactly. And I think a lot of small businesses, again, like myself, use those services, and that's what I think is prudent. So you definitely need to have policies and procedures for your business as it relates to cybersecurity and network access and using your systems as well. Secure portable media. It's always prudent to encrypt your data if you're going to use thumb drives, portable drives. So other people, if you lose that, if they don't have the decryption key, they can't get into your data. It's useless to them. So tongue-tied there for a minute. What's your plan? Key areas to consider. So people are always one of the weak spots because we drive these systems, right? We're the ones that use them. So your employees understand the ramifications of using computer at work, and I'm including you, and I'm including me as an employee. I'm my only employee. You might be your only employee. You understand the ramifications of using your work devices. So there's a lot of big differences between using a personal device as opposed to a device for business. You may go places on your personal device that you wouldn't go on your business device because you should have an understanding of, if my business device dies and I can't conduct business with this device, I'm maybe in a really bad position. I may not be able to, have income coming in. So the who, what, where, and why are questions you should be asking yourself about who are using these systems. You need to make sure that employees understand what's acceptable. Do you allow them to remote in if you have employees from a home computer? What level of security is that at? Do you allow your family members to utilize your business devices for personal use? The answer should be no. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be yes. Do people allow family members to use their business devices for personal? Show of hands? No? Okay, yeah. Well, you know what? Sometimes it can't be avoided. Wendy's got the right idea. She was shaking her head no, but I understand. I understand how that can be difficult. I mean, we can't go out and buy new devices for every different reason in the house. So again, here's the who, what, why, and what. Who, why, where, and why we want to have built into our plans and our incident or DLP and our incident response plan. So who set up the devices you use? Did you do it yourself? Again, did you have a kid? Did you have a friend do it? Did you have a company come in and do it? Capture all that information. Is it maintained? I'm talking about the firmware upgrades and looking at these systems all the time. And you may not be able to do this yourself because you're not an expert in this area, and that's understandable. But you need to have somebody engaged that can do this for you. You absolutely need to have a basic understanding of how things work. And that can be the person that you engage coming in and saying to you, okay, this, even drawing a diagram that you can put into your plans of how your system is connected. And that can be very, very rudimentary and basic. It does not have to be complex. Again, this data is just to back you up in case you have an issue. So how often do you change passwords? Do you have a password policy? Sorry, something just flashed up on my screen there. So again, we already talked about using the same equipment for home-based and business activities. So there's a lot of local IT companies or people that can help you with this. There's a lot of great resources in Brockville. So just using, what devices do you have in your business? Who has access to them? Again, is it employees? Is it other contractors? Some of the stuff we've already covered. Who can access your device and why do they have access? So again, that's typically your managed service providers. Do you have an NDA in place with your regular service providers, if you have one? Does everybody know what an NDA is? Yeah, non-disclosure agreement. So Melissa, if I'm coming into your network and you have proprietary things in there, like client information or whatnot, and I'm doing whatever work I'm doing, I could potentially sign an NDA that says I won't disclose Melissa's client list to anybody else, because that would be wrong, first of all, and it would affect your business. So that's,
I use GoDaddy as well, and that's worked into the website package that I have with them.
okay, perfect. So that's good. And it's good. And maybe that's good that you're thinking about it. Maybe other people haven't. Hopefully everybody has. To protect, you've got to protect yourself, because again, you've got that intellectual property that you've created in there as well, right? If they're coming into your home network or going into your website, like you said. So that's awesome that you're thinking about that. All right, most important slide on the whole slide deck. Who here, by show of hands, does regular backups? Everybody should have their hand up. Jennifer.
It's all on HubSpot and Google Drive. So I guess I could back up beyond that, but it would have to be really secure. Okay.
So what if those two sites become inaccessible or die or?
Yeah, so I'm thinking I just print out the customer form, information form for every new customer and keep them like locked at home.
Okay, good idea. And that's definitely an option. Okay, so if I just want to hear that people are doing regular backups. I used to leave when I was working for the municipality, Brockville. I literally used to lose sleep over this. I mean, backups were my responsibility. It's huge. Again, you can't replace that data. So I want to reinforce that you need to have regular backups. What's your strategy? And I provided a link down here from a website that I found called Security Boulevard. And again, I'm willing to share my slide deck with you. You can go there and talk about implementing a backup plan if you don't have one, or feel free to reach out to me, and I can help you. I can walk you through the process. Just hugely important. Where's Derek? Derek, do you back stuff up?
Yeah, basically my design files, I save them to an external hard drive, But as far as a cloud or anything, I don't currently have that set up.
Okay. I
But
mean,
yeah, I've had a couple scares. Believe me, my heart was just all that work, right? Honestly, like years of it, right?
so what I would recommend to you is that you start to look at some kind of cloud-based backup as well, and have that, maybe have that portable drive replicate to the cloud somewhere. Because again, if drives are read-write, they're mechanical read-write devices, right? And they could last for 10 minutes or 10 years. So
Yeah.
I
Any
would,
recos on the cloud?
I mean, I've got a home-based NAS here, a storage unit that I just have replicate to my Dropbox, for example, or you know, Google Cloud. I mean, you could interface. We could talk about that offline, and get you set up with something simple.
So Randy, I have a question about cloud-based saving. What about the Canadian privacy laws? So Melissa, if she backs up all of her data for her clients into the cloud and it's a US-based server, is that not going against our privacy laws in here in Canada?
I don't think there's anything formally structured in place. I mean, so when I was working for the city, we always talked about what's called Canadian data residency. You really should try and make sure that your data still resides in Canada, because potentially, if it does go to the United States, it could be subject to the privacy laws within the U.S. You're absolutely correct. So I mean, and I think under the Patriot Act, if that's still relevant, they could theoretically look at your data. So one of the things to look at when you're looking at a cloud-based provider is, are your servers in Canada? And do you have data redundant data centers in Canada? So if you go with somebody, XYZ Cloud Backup, they have their offices in Ottawa, you back up your data there. Is it getting replicated out to a data center in Calgary, for example, if the one in Ottawa goes down? So that's a really good point, Jeanette, and thank you for bringing it up. So Canadian data residency, call the people that you're dealing with and ask them that question. Where's my data getting stored? And preferably it should be in Canada, so you're subject to the Canadian laws and not the US. And one other thing I wanted to, sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
I was just going to say that may be more important for Melissa and I, being in with medical information. I know with our college, we have to be very careful with that with massage therapy.
And are you aware of the privacy commissioner?
I'm not aware of all of it. I just know before I did any of our online stuff, it had to be backed up. Like our online booking system is Canadian, and okay. I made sure I knew that before I used it.
So there's new laws in place under the Privacy Commissioner of Canada. If you know, you're storing medical information or whatnot, and you have a data breach, you have to notify them. So I would recommend looking into that further as well, just to see what the ramifications are around that. I don't know in detail what your specific business would be subject to in terms of that, but it's a good thing to dig into.
Yeah, fair enough.
One last thing I just wanted to say there. Laura, go ahead.
Caitlin, mine is Jillian Price, and I was Chief Privacy Officer for Champlain Lynn. I'm in healthcare in my previous life, and I do have documentation that I'd be happy to share with you, including policies and procedures that you could maybe massage and look at adopting.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and it's Homeland Security, Randy,
Okay.
that you're exposed to, and they have an automatic, any data information whatsoever. It's not if they're going to access the information, they will access the information. They have a routine scrub look. And so to complicate things, I would say that if you're working with a US-based company who will tell you they have servers on the Canadian soil, you have to make sure that there's no redundant saving going on in the United States. So
absolutely,
everybody.
So how does that like work with Google? Is Google just the same thing?
Yep.
Why do they have to be so good at what they do, though?
I know. Welcome to the digital age.
I'd forgotten, Jillian, when I met you at the starter company, that was your previous role. I really, really appreciate you bringing that up.
Melissa, you had another question specific to your profession?
Yeah, so I use apps for a lot of things. So one of the apps that I use is called Trainerize. So what it does is it gives my clients their entire program. I learned, I just had to go through it when I opened. I had used a service called PT on the Net. So I had 15 years worth of programming in PT on the Net, 12 years worth of programming on this thing. And then when Good Life closed, I didn't have access to that anymore. So I had to redo all of my programming in this new app that I'm using. How would you recommend the backup like that? No, I've got booklets and booklets and booklets. Like I've got physical paper backups, but in ways of, so let's say my client goes in and they say, they put in the reps and they said they did 15 pounds this time. Next time it did 17 pounds. To track those types of numbers for backup, how would you recommend something like that? Because otherwise I lose it all. If I choose to go to a different app called like PT Distinction, I lose all of my programming. I have to re-enter everything again.
So really, really good points here. And this is things we used to consider, again, in the municipal world and other areas of IT as well, is when you're looking at applications like this, you want to approach the company. And again, this goes back to the whole part about educating yourself. If I come online with your company, whose data is it at the end of the day? Do I retain ownership of my data? Give me a definitive answer on that. So where is it stored? Do I retain ownership? If yes, I retain ownership and I choose to leave your company, how do I recover my data? What formats can I download it in? Is everybody familiar with CSV, comma separated values, which you bring into an Excel spreadsheet, for example, or a text file? I'm assuming that application companies like that they may tell you that it's not possible, but I'm going to guarantee you one thing: you're not going to be the only person that's ever asked the question, and it's worth calling them and find out where their head office is and call them and say, look, I'd like to have my data. How do I do that? I'm, not necessarily that I'm leaving, but I need this data backup so you're not recreating that whole thing over again, right? So again, that should be one of the key considerations that you look at when you're using these systems.
Randy, it's Jillian. Can I add something? Sorry.
Sure. Jillian, please feel free to again, you've got lots of experience. Please feel free to chime in.
Yeah, so the rule of thumb, and one that the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care of Canada states, is that whoever generates the information owns the information. So for example, in healthcare, although the information belongs to the patient, it's actually the people who document the information that own it. So it may be about the patient, but you own it because you generate it. And so when looking at policies for retrieving your information, if you're leaving, one to go to another, there is some very specific things that you need to do to be able to get that back. And again, I have binders of stuff here that I'm more than happy to help if somebody wants some information. So if you generate it, you own it. The vendor is the third-party store of the information. That's a service that you purchase from them. They do not own the information.
Perfect. Thanks, Jillian. Melissa, was that person authorized to be in your personal space? Did you have policies around that?
There is no bubble in this house anymore.
Okay. We're like way off. Are we way off for time, Jeanette?
We got 7 minutes left.
Okay, two-factor authentication. Does everybody know what that is? We're going to skip over it.
So Randy, I have to leave, but I just wanted to say this is great stuff.
Okay.
And the more people that you can put this stuff in front of, the better. Like it's very good.
Well, again, the purpose is just to make people think. And I'm really thankful that everybody was here today. Appreciate you being here, Wendy, and Jillian as well. Again, I'm not the kind of person that I want input from everybody. I mean, we're all here to learn, right? So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So two-factor authentication, when you're making changes to some of the websites or some of the apps that you use, and I know that Jennifer and I have talked about Google today, you want to have these things in place. And sometimes, I mean, I know myself in the past too, for example, for my Apple password, it's like, please set up two-factor authentication. Please set up two-factor authentication. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I'll skip over that for now. So two-factor authentication is a combination of things that you know, things that you have, and things that you may be physically. So the best way to think about this is when you go to do a withdrawal from an ATM, you have a bank card and a PIN. So it's something you have, the physical card, sorry, this is not a bank card, and then your PIN number that you only know. So turning on two-factor authentication, for example, with Google or Apple, allows them to send a reset code to your phone, your smartphone, for example, and only you have that smartphone and should only have access to it. And then when they send you that PIN code, only you have access to that PIN code. So if I say I want to go in and make some changes to Jennifer's Google account, and I have certain levels of information, but I don't have access to her smartphone, I'm euchred. I can't do anything. So make sure that where two-factor authentication can be turned on in the systems that you use to leverage that. And I typically don't quote Wikipedia, but in this case, the information was accurate. So please don't beat me up.
I love Wikipedia.
I like Wikipedia too, but it's not always accurate. We're getting close to the end here. Okay. So takeaways from today. I mean, think about your plan. Who's doing what? What systems are you using? Does this add another level of responsibility to your already long list as a small business owner? Yes, it absolutely does. Is it worth it? Yes, it is. Something may never happen, but then again, your house only needs to burn down once, and if you don't have fire insurance, well, okay, you're out of luck. So you just need to have a better or elevated level of how things work. You do not need to be an expert. You can hire an expert. You can talk to a friend that knows more potentially than you do, or another business owner, or people like Jillian, for example, who are a fantastic resource. There's people out there. Develop policies and plans. This is essential. This goes back to what we learned in Starter Company, having that documentation for your business. If Jennifer is not there and somebody is looking after her business and there's a data breach, they can grab this plan and they can say, this is what we're doing if we have a data breach. Jennifer's in the Barbados rather, sorry. Here's what we need to do. Have resources in place and ready to go if you need them. So talk to managed service providers, talk to the IT people in your neighborhood and find out what services they can provide you with. So doing the things we discussed today as part of your risk mitigation strategy for your overall business, and we talked about that again in Starter Company as well. So next thing, resources, and again, I can make this slide deck available to you. Our government actually does things really well in terms of cybersecurity. They really want to help the SMB sector be better at cybersecurity because they do have that understanding of how we can become an attack vector into larger scale businesses, and it can affect that whole supply chain. So here are some resources for you. The Cyber Safe Guide for Small and Medium Business is an excellent thing to go through, and you can look through these. The last one on the list is American. It's NIST is the short form, National Institute for Standards and Technology. Their documents are very long and very detailed, but they are excellent. They're worth a look. I mean, you don't have to read through line by line, but I would recommend going there and taking a look at that. This is me. This is what I do. This is my core services. So IT systems, equipment, and facility reviews, IT project management, procurement coordination, contract assessment and management, asset management strategies and master plans, policies and procedures review. I think that's one of the key things that I can help you with. And I'm not sitting here selling my services. I would like to help small business any way I can. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm just going to help you. I mean, and Jeanette's going to like smack me for
I'm
that.
gonna charge them for it, Randy.
I'm sorry. Okay, it was like $25 or something like that. In IT governance. Now here's how to get a hold of me. Please feel free to reach out. Again, I'm local.
Jennifer?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that when I wasn't able to get back to a bunch of clients and I wasn't able to take them, I sent them a form where they could ask for me to delete their data. So that's just a little like thing, and I'm planning on putting more explanation of my data management, et cetera, on my website for my customer information forms.
Perfect. I know you do a deep dive into a lot of stuff, Jennifer, and it's awesome to hear.
Inconsistently, but yes, thank you.
No, that's okay. I mean, everybody's busy, right? So it's tough. Once again, sorry, shameless logo plug.
Don't apologize.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Randy. This information was really, really good.
Okay, well, again, the key thing was just to make people think about what policies and procedures and things they need to have in place.
Does anybody have any last questions or comments?
How do you feel about? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Derek, and then I don't know who it was. Carol, maybe? Go ahead, Derek.
What's your take on cloning entire systems? Is that something you would? For me, I can save my design files, but I have my programs as well, right?
I think it's a good idea. So let's talk about how much time do we have, Jeanette?
Well, we're at 12, so if anybody needs to sign off.
I'm going to pop off, but thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for coming. Do you have, because I was actually thinking about you this morning, do you have two separate kind of networks in your house, or do you use your production machine as, like, if you want to go out and surf the internet, look up sports scores and stuff like that, like, or is it completely separate?
I do not. I only use my design computer, internet for updates to my programs and that sort of thing, but I do not surf or go anywhere else on that. It's a separate one. Yeah.
Perfect. I mean, cloning systems, yeah, I guess it depends on whether you've got kind of, identical or similar hardware sitting there. It's probably not a bad idea. I mean, I apologize. Backing up your system state is not a bad idea, for sure. I mean, the more options that you have in case there's an issue, the better. You know, I would over plan and, for the worst. I mean, so what happens if your main production machine goes down?
The computer, you mean?
Yeah. Sorry.
Basically, I'm sitting there with just a hard drive full of design files, but no program to run it with.
How old is it?
That one's about a year, less than a year.
Okay, so that's not too bad. And do you have local support for it?
I do. Not for the programming, but for the system. Yeah, the programming would be a call center basically.
Okay. Again, I don't think it's a bad thing, and you can talk to whoever your service provider is about backing up your system state, like I say, and that might give them more options to get you up running quicker. And cloning, yeah. So who's your service provider? Just curious.
I have Cogeco.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you don't have like a local IT company that you deal with, or?
No.
Okay. I would recommend probably, like talking to a CompuServe or something like that, just kind of spitballing with them and saying, look, hey, this is what I do. I've got one system. If it goes down, what kinds of things should I be looking at to get me back up and running as quickly as possible?
Yeah, the problem is I can only run that program on one computer. I'd love to have it on 3 or 4, but they restrict me that way, and I need a fob to to run that program, right?
Right.
So I'd love to have it on 3 or 4, and then I'm not worried. But yeah, that's where they get me.
Okay. So are there lots of nuances with that program? Like, have you gone and done customizations and whatnot? Like system settings for?
Yeah, some,
So
not
are you backing all that up?
so much, no.
Okay, you need to do that. Because I mean, I noticed even on a smaller level, I know you and I were joking yesterday about me going in and cutting out the boat letters on my small, it's not a cricket, but it's a silhouette. And I just recently reinstalled the software and I lost all my customizations and I was ticked off.
Oh.
That's at the junior level. I can only imagine like where you would be if you lost all those customizations, the hours of work that you've put into tweak whatever it is you need to tweak in your system. So yeah, the answer to your original question is you need to back up absolutely every customization, system setting, system state that you can possibly get your hands on, just so you have that data. And you need to get your data off-site, because if your house burns down, that portable drive is going to do you no good sitting there fried to a crisp, right? The off-site backup
or fireproof safe.
Yeah, off-site backups are even better.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the safes that you buy at Home Depot and whatnot are only rated for a certain amount of heat time and whatnot. So if it's somewhere in the cloud, even better. Off-site backups, huge. Make sure you do it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you.
Anybody, any last comments? Melissa's sitting here with her USB and her portable hard drive beside her computer. Me too.
Yeah, I'll be concentrating in the kids and the pets out of the house. I just want to say thank you. Fitness is taking, and Richard can contest to this. Fitness is, it's online. Like what the future holds for us, we have no idea. I don't know if anybody saw the plastic bubble thing that they're doing. So fitness is really taking a huge turn online, and I've always offered online, but it's so much more now. So I really appreciate all of your insight, and I've got lots of notes.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know. I mean, you don't have to share any kind of confidential information, but I'd like to maybe as a follow-up know when you talk to these companies and say, you say, hey, look, the trend's going this way. I may not always use your product. I'm going to, and like Jillian said, I want to retain my data. How do I get it off your system?
Well, that's just it. Like I had all of this programming in this one platform when I was with my previous organization, and it's stupid expensive. So I shouldn't say I didn't have access to it. It's unreal expensive, but it's also partly owned by Good Life. So we got to use it for free, but we now switching this other one, it's all on there. Everybody's weights, the most confidential, it has access to take payment. I don't, but there's pictures, everyone's before and after pictures, their progress pictures, like those types of intellectual, their addresses and birthdays, and there's no, I suppose you can get that from anyone's identity, but there's no way to, at this point, with Trainerize, there is no way for me to take that property and switch it to another app platform, or let's say I want to keep it in whatever, anything short of me having my notebooks that I've created the programming.
Yeah.
It's kind of left in limbo, and I'm super interested to find out what other app platforms, because there's about 3 or 4 of them, have that ability, because that's huge. Like hours and hours and hours of work went into retyping everything in again.
And that may affect your decision, right?
Huge.
Yeah, for sure. Company, oh yeah, they'll tell you, right? Oh yeah, you absolutely retain your data. If you decide to leave, here's how we download it for you.
Yep.
We'll send it to you, old school. We'll send it to you on a CD-ROM or whatever.
Well, and that's just it. I would imagine too, they wouldn't send it in an easy enough platform thinking, okay, all she has to do is drag and click, or click and drag into this new thing. They're going to make it tricky. Yeah, sure, we'll give you an Excel spreadsheet. Yeah, because I can re-enter that data easily. But it's it's interesting times in the fitness industry. So a lot of this stuff is really coming up, and
they should be reacting to that.
Yeah, GoDaddy's been really great though. I'm happy to hear that you use GoDaddy. I've been looking at new websites. They were very specific, and because the GoDaddy.ca part, I found out that their stuff is held in Canada. and they have a non-disclosure agreement because through the website you can take payments, and it's on, like, I can't take credit for thinking ahead. It was part of the package, but they've thought about it. So that I was happy to hear you say that. So yeah, did it.
Yeah, I've had good success with them too. And again, I don't have the time or the inclination to do all that stuff. And I'm in the same boat as everybody said initially too. I mean, I'm focused on LinkedIn and Facebook. I have a Twitter account. I don't have time to do them all. I'd rather do 2 well than all of them half-assed. Sorry to use.
No, you're right.
Inappropriately.
Yeah. Can I just say a quick something just for people that not to get lulled into feeling really super secure, not secure, but not checking up on your website, even if it's with Shopify. And the reason why I say that is sometimes the functionality breaks down, as what happened with mine, and it was through a developer. Now, security and everything was fine, but the actual functionality was lacking, and it took me probably most of being through the COVID to get it resolved. Oh, wow. So it's really important to keep on top of things, even though you think they are looking after it, you still have to watch it and make sure the functionality is still okay.
I mean, these are all tools that are in our toolbox, and they're part of our business. And
yeah,
it's not the fun stuff that we've got to deal with, but we have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, just don't get lulled into complacency that you don't have to do anything, I think is my message.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay. Thank you so much, Randy. You email me the slide deck and then I'll get it out to everybody.
Yep. I hope everybody found value. I appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Julian, for your input too.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.